What's up, guys? We are live, going to be breaking down on there, and I had a straight bet on Jimmy Rivera, had the over on the main event. The only loss was Meatball Molly McCann had a small play on her, but overall it was a fantastic night. So looking forward to this card quite a bit. From a Draftkings perspective, I'll be honest with you guys, this is probably one of the hardest cards I have seen in some time. There are fights that, I think every single underdog is live in some way on this card, and there's not really a play that you can really look at and be like, yeah, that's a lock or something. So we're going to break it down. I think there are some spots to take advantage of here. As always, make sure you guys give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't yet. Would really appreciate that. On my way to 5,000 subscribers, so any subscribe helps. And we're going to start with the first fight of the night here and just work our way up. As always, ask as many questions as possible, and then I'll try to get to as many questions as possible here. So we will start with the first fight of the night. Sergey Spivak versus Carlos Felipe. Spivak is now minus 175. He was like minus 120 earlier in the week. Felipe plus 155. So this Felipe dude has not fought in like 3 years. He got popped for some steroids or something, and he's back here. When they faced off, there's a really big size advantage for Spivak. Spivak was a couple inches taller there, but Felipe is pretty big. I like Spivak to win this fight. There's just so many question marks around Felipe. It is the first fight of the night, and minus 200 fight does not go to decision, which I believe is the third best fight does not go to decision prop there. So it's a fight you want to target. And like I always preach about the first fight of the night, is typically always on that winning lineup. So I like playing both sides here. I think Spivak can work his ground game here and take Felipe down. But Felipe does come out here winging shots. He talks crap. He's going to try to knock you out. So that's what I like to see in a play there. At 7,800, it's worth a shot. So kind of be playing both sides on this fight here. I know I had a lot of comments last week saying, like, how are you going to make money if you play both sides? Well, this is more for DraftKings, and you got to play both sides in DraftKings. Especially if you're doing multiple lineups, you got to play both sides, especially on a fight like this. But my lean is Spivak. It's just there's so many question marks around Felipe. I've seen maybe 2 or 3 fights of him, and I was not impressed at all. But that was like 3 or 4 years ago since his last fight that I saw, and he looked out of shape. He looked tired in that first round. He was winging big bombs, not technical at all. I mean, at least Spivak is at least somewhat technical. He has a good ground game, good takedowns, and I feel like he can take Felipe down here, maybe get a submission as well. So I don't mind some Spivak, but at the same time, it's a heavyweight fight. You got to play some Felipe as well. This is probably not a fight I would touch in cash. I think it's more of a tournament fight as well. So what do you guys think of this fight? Who are you guys liking in this fight? I mean, we saw them both on the scales. Spivak looked in decent shape. Felipe looked pretty big, but he's a small guy in height-wise. Not sure about the reaches, but I'm assuming that Spivak's going to have a reach advantage here. Let's see here. I have a cheap parlay on a few underdogs. Yeah, this card is a very big underdog card. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I think a lot of these underdogs are live. So I'm looking at betting a couple of them. I have 3 bets so far, and I'm going to share those with you guys today. But make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. I'll get my bets out there before the card, but there are some underdogs I'm looking at. I like Spivak, how he looked in the face-off. Yeah, he looked good. He looked like he was motivated. If you guys haven't watched the Tai Tuivasa fight, I think he can implement a kind of a game plan like that. Like Tai Tuivasa weighed, I want to say 265, and he was just picking up Tuivasa and slamming him down. He has some good takedowns, so I have a feeling he can get Felipe down here and maybe find a submission. Spivak by sub, I like it. Big boys fall hard. I think someone's going to fall hard. The thing is, for heavyweights, I don't think either of these guys have much power on the feet. Felipe does have 6 knockouts, but most of them were on the ground as a TKO. So that's kind of concerning there, especially against the low level. And, Spivak doesn't look like he has much power at all as well. So it's probably going to be, I'm thinking, a submission by Spivak or maybe a ground and pound from either guy. Felipe by TKO on a long shot. I don't hate it. He's going to come out here trying to take off Spivak's head, and Spivak has a good chin, but he has been knocked out. I want to say once, by Walt Harris. But we all know how hard Walt Harris hits. Felipe making his debut and hasn't fought in 3 years. No thanks. Maybe take a flyer in one lineup just in a KO. Yeah, I would play some just in case he does get that KO, because honestly, I don't think Spivak's good, but I do like him in this matchup. And the line's getting wider and wider, so that's something to look at there. All right. The over 1.5 is nice here, parlayed with underdog of your choice. Yeah, I don't mind the over. I really don't mind the over, unless Spivak can kind of get him down, tire him out, maybe submit him, because Spivak does have a good ground game. Let's see. Yeah, Hassan hasn't fought in 2 years, and so he lost. Felipe, that's a bit danger. Lack of energy for fighting over 2 years. Yeah, Hassan probably busted a lot of people's parlays last week. I said on the live stream, like, probably don't parlay that guy. He did not look in great shape. And that Lazez dude had a size advantage, and Lazez surprised me quite a bit. I had a lot of Lazez in DraftKings, so that was pretty awesome there. At the same time, I had some Al-Hassan, but that really surprised me as well. But we'll get into the next fight here. And for a DraftKings perspective, I'll just probably cross this one off right away. I mean, if I had to pick somebody for DraftKings, I'd play some Hamos, because there could be some finish upside. I just don't see it here. And this is my first bet of the night. I have Arman Sarukian to win by decision at -130 here. Put a small play on that, because I do like him to win here. He's not going to finish Hamos. Hamos has never lost by KO, and Hamos has never lost by submission. And Sarukian's not a finisher. We will look at his stats right here. Sarukian has finished 36% of his fights by knockout. I think that'd be his path to victory. He's not going to submit Hamos, so he's not really a finisher, and I like him to win this fight quite a bit. It's just he needs to stay safe. I think he's going to keep this on the feet and fight smart. Don't let Hamos take him down. I don't think Hamos is going to be able to. Don't take Hamos down himself, and just keep it on the feet, land the more volume. Hamos has not thrown much volume at all. I think this fight's going to be exciting and probably low output at the same time. So it's not a fight I want for DraftKings, especially at 8,700. I can see Sarukian maybe landing a takedown or two, maybe landing like 50 strikes and winning a boring decision there. So don't like it for DraftKings, but I do have my first bet, like I said, -130. Sarukian wins by decision. I did not really like the -195, and I don't think it's going to come down. I think it's only going to get wider there. So I did take the decision prop at -130 there. I like that line quite a bit. So do you guys have any interest in this fight for DraftKings here? I really don't. Maybe a couple lineups of Hamos just in case Sarukian does make a mistake. He's very young. He could make a mistake, but altogether, this is kind of a fight I'm going to be very, very low owned on. I'm going to fade both in a single lineup. Yeah, I wouldn't play it in single at all. I mean, if you want to be different, maybe play one of them, and probably Hamos has the most upside, but I just don't see I don't see much upside in this fight. And I think there's a lot of spots where you can definitely take advantage here. We want to target the fights that are probably going to score high, like the fights with the best fight does not go to decision. Fight does not go to decision lines, and the fights with a lot of volume in it. That's how we're going to win money here. On a fight card where a lot of matchups can go either way, you want to target these high-scoring fights, and this just isn't one of them. So I'll probably save my ownership in this fight and go elsewhere. Depends who you fade. I wouldn't fade anyone well unless there is one. I faded one last week, and that hurt my chances. I don't fade anyone, but I do. If there's someone I don't like, I put a minimum of 3% in there just in case, because anything can happen. And I was able to take down the GPP 1 week, just putting 3% on Ian Heinisch, someone I thought was not a very good play, but ended up sparking his opponent in the first minute there. Arman looked good against Islam. Only Hamos by sub scares me, but he headhunts a lot. Yeah, Hamos does throw very hard, but he does not throw much at all. I think if Sarukian does fight smart, I think he's going to take this pretty handedly by a decision. And I do like that line of -130, so that's why I took a shot on that. All right, so we'll get to the next fight here. This fight is a fight you are going to want on DraftKings for sure. -170 fight does not go to decision, which is either the third or fourth best line on there. Amir Albazi versus Malcolm Gordon. So Albazi is -155. He was like -180, -190 earlier in the week, and the line is coming down, and I can see why. And I'm actually looking at maybe taking a shot on Malcolm Gordon. I haven't yet, but I may take a shot on Gordon here. I think he's the better overall fighter pretty much everywhere, and I'm honestly confused why he is the underdog here. I watched a lot of tape on both these guys. I was more impressed with Gordon. I guess the thing is that Gordon has lost by knockout 3 times, so that's a little concerning, but I don't think Albazi is the one to expose his chin here. And on the ground, I favor Gordon. On the feet, I favor Gordon. I favor Gordon everywhere. So I like Gordon quite a bit as an underdog play at 7,600. And even maybe looking at a bet here, plus 220 to win inside the distance for Gordon, plus 175 to end inside the distance to win inside the distance for Albazi. I think this is the fight you're going to want both sides of. I think this is a very, very good fight to finish. Both their styles, both their paces, I think will score high on DraftKings. So my lean is Gordon, but I will have some Albazi as well. But this scoring guy looks really good, like very good on the ground, BJJ black belt, great scrambles, and he hits hard too. He hits very hard. We'll check the finish stats here. Albazi has finished 92% of his fights. He's finished 42% by knockout, 50% by submission, and Gordon has finished 33% by knockout and 50% by submission. Albazi's never been knocked out. He's never been subbed, but I feel like someone's probably going to either get knocked out here or even subbed. I can definitely see Gordon finding a sub, and I wouldn't be too shocked if Albazi did knock out Gordon. Gordon has been knocked out quite a bit, so I like this fight on DraftKings quite a bit. And like I said, I'm looking to maybe place a bet on Gordon at plus 145. Don't hate that line. Would like it a little bit wider. I probably waited a little too long, but I do think he should possibly be the favorite here, or at least a pick him would be fair in this fight. Next weekend's fight card looks stacked. Yeah, I like the next weekend's fight card a lot more than this one from a DraftKings perspective and a betting perspective. But this card's pretty good. I like the matchups. The matchmakers did so well, and like all these fights can go either way. So it kind of makes it hard for to placing bets or doing DraftKings there. All right, Johns is going to beat Jackson. We will get to that in a little bit. Yeah, had that as a pick'em. Can't be afraid to go against the grain in MMA. That's where the money is made. That is correct. Upset. Yeah, I feel an upset here too. Just this guy, Gordon, he's a finisher. He really is. And Albazi is very good on the ground, but I just give the advantage to Gordon. I don't really see Albazi doing much on the ground. If this gets on the ground, I definitely favor Gordon. But on the feet, I even favor Gordon as well. The only thing I favor Albazi in is probably the durability because, Gordon has been knocked out quite a bit. Joining late, sorry if already answered. What are your most confident picks this week? I will go over it later in the video towards the end, but there aren't much because this card is very tough. But I do have a couple bets so far, and I'm pretty confident in those. But there's a lot of fights that can go either way here. Parlay with Gordon, Johns, and Figueiredo. Gordon, Johns, Figueiredo. I personally don't parlay underdogs or even slight favorites. I like to parlay the guys with the wider odds there, and I don't usually like doing more than like 4 legs in a parlay. Last week I hit on a Wednesday I hit a 3-leg and a 2-leg with Usman and Cater, and then Cater, Chimaev, and Shore. I hit those. If I would have put another one, it might have been Al Hassan, and that would have lost it. So I like going kind of small on the parlays there. With a big unit size. I like Gordon first, but I think Albazi wins. Gordon getting knocked out by bums is not a good look. That is true, but I'm not sure if Albazi is the one to expose his chin. Gordon hasn't been knocked out in 4 years. That is true, and also he has been improving his striking a lot. His striking has been improving each fight. He said that's been something he's working on, and saw an interview with one of his coaches. He said that his striking is, just as good as his grappling now, and that's really what I'd like to hear, because if that's true, I really like him to win this fight. But other than that, we'll get to the next fight here. But this fight card, I'll tell you right now, is not a great card for parlays because you got Joe Duffy minus 330. I see a lot of people betting Alvarez here, and when you got the biggest favorite and a lot of people doubting him, I don't know. I mean, I'm on Duffy there, but I don't really think this is the card for parlays. I don't have one this week, and I probably won't. I think next week is a good card for parlays. Lots of big favorites on there that I think will win. So stay tuned for next week for some parlays. But this week, maybe a 2-legger is what I do at the most. I wouldn't even mess with a fun parlay because a lot of these matches can really go either way. Montel Jackson versus Brett Johns. Jackson is minus 205 and Johns is plus 190. There is an insane amount of love for Brett Johns and lots of bets coming in on him. I was actually looking at placing a bet on Johns, but I missed the train on it. The line is getting a little too close for my liking here. I am picking Brett Johns to win, but I would have liked to bet it when he was like plus 225, plus 230. I would have liked to bet it then. I still might place a bet on it because I do think this fight should be closer to a pick'em. I think Johns can take Jackson down, especially towards the end of the fight, take him down. I've seen Jackson get his back taken before, and like I said on my prediction video, if you give your back up against someone like Brett Johns, that is not good at all. But this is an extremely close fight. As for DraftKings, obviously Johns at 7,100. I like him a lot. That's a very good price. I think he has the potential to win here. I think even in cash, if he loses, there's going to be takedown upside. He's very hard to finish. Johns has never been knocked out. He's never lost by submission. Jackson at 9,100, I think is going to be kind of popular. He just doesn't throw as much as I'd like. I mean, he scored like 140, 130 last fight, but that was against Felipe Caloris. A huge step up in competition here, and he landed like 10 takedowns in that fight. He's not going to want to take down Johns 10 times. Maybe he does, but I think if he does that, he's just playing with fire. So I think this fight's close. Probably going to stay away from a betting perspective, but my pick is Johns. I think he's going to be able to get takedowns, maybe take the back, control the fight for some parts of the fight. But on the feet, you definitely got to favor Johns. I've definitely got to favor Jackson. But I just think Johns isn't going to fight that fight. He's going to be up against the cage the whole time, trying to land takedowns, and I do think he gets them. We all saw what Johns did to Tony Gravely his last fight. I was able to get, I think, 4 takedowns there against a pretty good wrestler in Gravely, and we've seen Jackson taken down a lot. I know he's just taken down like 8 times, something like that, by Ricky Simone. And yeah, Ricky Simone's a good wrestler, but I think Johns can get him down a couple times as well. All right, what do we got here? Let's see. Do you think Kazmat will get a top 15? I think they're going to kind of take it slow with him, build him up, and I hope not because I want to play a lot of them on DraftKings. And yeah, I think they said that Kazmat Chimaev might be fighting on next card, which would be awesome because as we saw, this guy's a beast. Had about 70% of them last fight. Hopefully we get to play him again next week. Duffy talked about retirement. That might seem a little bit worrying for me a bit. Yeah, we'll get into that next fight here, but yeah, that is very, very concerning there. Picking a lot of underdogs is going to be risky. Picking underdogs is always risky, but there's a lot of live dogs on this card, like a lot of live dogs here. Call me crazy, but I think this is a 50-50 fight, so you obviously have to take the underdog. I also like Johns wrestling in his last fight. Yeah, I'm thinking it's 50-50 too. I mean, I like Jackson. I watched tape on Jackson. I was very, very surprised, but I just saw spots where I thought Johns can take advantage. Like I saw Simone get his back, and Johns is very good at taking the back. We saw it his last fight. He can take the back, and if he does, I don't know. I don't know if Jackson has the submission defense to hold him off. But yeah, Jackson's very good. Both these guys are very good. Johns is a very underrated fighter as well. So do not hate a bet on Brett Johns. I see, a bunch of people betting Brett Johns, and I don't hate that at all. John's got the cardio to grind this out. I think he can, grind it out early. The cardio later kind of concerns me, but we did see Jackson get tired towards the 3rd round in his last fight, but that's pretty much because he just dominated Caloris the whole time, threw the kitchen sink at him. So yeah, the cardio does concern me slightly, but I think both of them are probably going to be kind of equally tired with this. Probably going to be a big wrestling, grappling heavy pace there. Would Benavidez be safer than Johns for cash? And that is a very tough question. I was debating going one or the other. Maybe you can play them both. I might go Johns because I do think Benavidez could be knocked out early. And if that happens, then obviously Benavidez is going to be higher owned. And you can get a good advantage if you do fade Benavidez in cash and he does get knocked out just because of that ownership. So I don't think Johns is going to get finished. And I think Johns can get takedowns, advances, etc. So I don't know. That's a tough one. I still haven't decided on a cash lineup yet. Is Pantoja by decision a good bet? We will get to that fight soon, but yeah, don't hit that. 2 more weeks until we get Edmund Shabazian. I want to say he's like minus 265 against Derek Brunson right now, which is a lot wider than I expected. But, I think you should take that, Edmund. John says he wants to telephone booth brawl with Montel in the latest interview. I don't know if that's a good idea, but that's probably what he needs to do. He needs to get on the inside and, yeah, probably get in the telephone booth there. Don't stick to the outside, because that's where Jackson will really take advantage there. Is next week's the final fight island card? I believe it is. Yeah. Pantoja looked big and thick compared to Askarov. Yeah, Pantoja looked like a beast. So we will get into the next fight here, and this is a fight that I'm really scratching my head on. Joe Duffy versus Joel Alvarez. Duffy is minus 330, and Alvarez is plus 270. And I see tons and tons of action coming in on Alvarez from the betting community, and I can see why. Duffy has not looked great his past couple fights. Hasn't won a fight since 2017, 2018. It's been a while. And Alvarez, I don't think is good at all. So personally, I wouldn't bet it, but I don't hate the shot on it. If you do think, Duffy's on his way out, Duffy's had talks of retirement, and Duffy looked awful on the scales, in my opinion, today. Didn't look like he was very muscular. He looked like kind of going through the motions there. And Alvarez has a big height and reach advantage on him. The big advantage was, cleared at sea. So that kind of concerns me there, but Duffy's better everywhere, and that's why he's a big favorite here. All he has to do really is just take down Alvarez, control him on the ground, not get submitted. Easy path to victory here. Would not parlay this fight, would not parlay the minus 330, because although Duffy has been submitted once, and that's probably Alvarez's path to victory is a submission, and this fight just really concerns me. It really does. So I would not bet this fight from either side, but to the people that are taking a shot on Alvarez, can't blame you at all. At plus 270, can't blame you there. Maybe even the plus 480 to finish the fight as well would be take a decent shot there. But I do think Duffy wins this fight. Not going to have much of this fight in DraftKings. Don't really see Duffy. Maybe he finds a submission. Maybe he gets a knockout. I just don't really like it. Plus 115, fight does not go to decision. Duffy is plus 200 to finish inside the distance, 9,300. Obviously, he's probably not going to pay off that 9,300, but on a card like this, he is the biggest favorite, and that's why I have some interest in him. But just seeing the height and reach advantage of Alvarez just really turned me off of that. And I don't know. I think Alvarez is extremely bad, but we got to question ourselves, where is Duffy's head at? So I don't know. This is a tough fight. I'm sticking with Duffy, but I don't know. Would definitely not bet this fight at all. All right. I would pass on Duffy Alvarez. Alvarez just isn't as polished MMA fighter, and Duffy is way over. That is true. He is not a good MMA fighter, and Duffy is overrated. Both those things are true. Dawson looked, I'll get into it in a second, but Dawson looked a little bit like going through the motions. Didn't look like he really wanted to be there. I'm sure he does, but maybe I don't know what was going on with him. But Naramani looked pretty good there. I want to bet Dawson, but I've heard mixed reviews. Will you be discussing your cash bets? Yeah, I went over one already. I have Sarukian by decision, minus 130. I have 3 bets total so far. I'm going to be looking at placing 2 more bets probably. One's going to be an underdog, and one's going to be a over-under or a goes to decision prop. I'm not sure about that, but I'll be posting them on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Both of their fights combined has been 80% within the distance. Yeah, that's true. Alvarez has finished a lot of his fights by submission as well, and I just don't see him finishing Duffy. So maybe this is a fight you want to target. I think Duffy's obviously the better fighter, but you just really don't know where his head's at right now. The 6,900 brings me back memories of another fighter I wasn't expecting. Which one was that? Alvarez has never been submitted, so I don't understand the line discrepancy. Well, Duffy obviously has the better BJJ. I think Alvarez has submitted a lot of very, very low-level opponents there. So Duffy does have the better BJJ there. So I don't really see either guy really submitting each other though. Wanting to play straight, wanting one straight play to go with Fig 1 to 3, like Spivak, but a lot of question marks. So maybe Hermansson. Probably neither of the two. If I had to pick one, maybe Spivak. But yeah, like you said, there's a lot of question marks. Duffy via close decision, fade on DraftKings. Yeah, probably the smart thing to do is fade 9,300. He's not going to hit value, but Could it be enough on this card with a lot of underdogs winning? Maybe, but it's not something I'm too interested in. You should post on Patreon as well. My bets. All right, I can do that. I used to do that, probably like a year ago. I used to post my bets on Patreon. I can make a tab for that if you want. Just message me on that. Remind me about that. All right. Joel has a 4-inch reach on Duffy, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, lots of love for Alvarez in the chat. Alvarez, Dogger Pass, he has value action play. So, yeah, on Draftkings, maybe a shot on Alvarez because, honestly, I'll be honest with you, like Duffy did not look like he wanted to be there at weigh-ins today, and he looked like, honestly, it looked like he hasn't been training. I'm sure he has, but it just looked like he hasn't been, training too much. So, really question where his head's at. Grant Dawson versus Nat Naramani. Grant Dawson is minus 220 and Naramani is plus 200. Tempted to make a bet on this fight. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it yet. But I think there's a lot of value in this Naramani line. Dawson has not fought anybody near the caliber fighter of Naramani, and honestly, it's not even close. Watching tape on Dawson, I think he really struggles on the feet. He's really relentless on his takedowns, and he can get them, but like I said, he hasn't fought someone who has the wrestling credentials as Naramani. Naramani stuffs a lot of takedowns. He has a very good takedown defense. Stuffing a lot of takedowns from Mike Grundy, a very, very good wrestler. And I don't know if Dawson has the wrestling to get him down. So if this does play out on the feet, and this is why I did pick Naramani, I think Naramani has the striking advantage. I think Dawson gets hit way too much. He's very open to get hit. We'll take a look at his striking defense here for Dawson. Dawson has a 43% striking defense, so he gets hit a ton. And I don't know, I think it's maybe worth a shot taking a dog shot on Naramani. I see a lot of people betting him as well, Naramani that is, and I might take it. I'm not sure yet, but overall I think this is going to be a very, very close decision. I think the line should be a lot closer. Maybe Dawson can get him down, but if he gets him down, I think Naramani can get back up pretty easily here. And Naramani, I don't know if you guys know this, he's a black belt in BJJ as well. And I do give the grappling at Dawson, but Naramani is no scrub here, and he's a veteran in the UFC. He has more UFC fights than Dawson, and Dawson has fought nobody impressive whatsoever. Julian Rosa, Derek Minner, like that's nothing there. So this is a big step in competition for Minner here. Minner gets taken down at will. Minner has been submitted like 17 times. So I do think this is a tough matchup for him. But if he passes this, Dawson's probably the real deal. But this is a very tough fight for Dawson, in my opinion. And on DraftKings, I do like both sides here because Dawson, if he does get him down, I don't really see him submitting him or nothing, but maybe he lands a ground and pound, gets a ground and pound victory there, or maybe just gets enough takedowns to hit value at 9,200. So I do think there's GPP upside for Dawson. As for Naramani, don't really see him finishing Dawson unless it's on the feet. Dawson has been knocked out once by some elbows when he was going for a takedown. But altogether, I might place a small bet on Naramani just for, I think there's some value on that line, and I do think this matchup is going to be kind of close. I was also looking at the fight goes to decision prop, and it's minus 125 right now. Fight goes to decision. So Naramani's never lost by submission. Dawson's never lost by submission. I don't know if either of these guys are going to submit each other here. And Naramani's been knocked out once. Dawson's been knocked out once. Both these guys don't really have the best power. If anybody gets knocked out, I think it's going to be Dawson. But I might just take the fight goes to decision prop at minus 125 instead of playing Dawson, instead of playing Naramani. It's kind of right in that middle there because I do think this fight's probably going to go to decision. Of course, if it does finish, it's probably going to be Dawson. But I think there's a lot of value in that line. Minus 125 goes to decision. So that's definitely something I'm looking at there. Because, like I said, Naramani's a black belt in BJJ. He's definitely no scrub. This line is a little bit disrespectful, but I can see it. Like, Dawson's the up-and-comer. Dawson's the more hungry fighter. Naramani's coming off a knockout loss to Mike Grundy. So I can see why the line's like this, but I do think the fight's going to play out closer. And Dawson may very well win, but like I said, I do think there's some value on Naramani there. Alvarez is actually a brown belt in BJJ, and Duffy is only a purple belt. That's interesting. I didn't know that. You're the man. Let's get this bread. Saturday, let's get it. Will you be posting your bets on YouTube? I'm kind of going over some of them right now. I have 3 that I'll get into, but I am looking to place in like 2 or 3 more. Dawson fight will come down to a super close decision. I agree. I don't know. I think Dawson's going to be more active, but if Naramani can stuff those takedowns and keep it at distance, like he's going to have an extreme amount of success. Naramani's a warrior, great value here. The dog is live. I agree, and a lot of people do agree with me. I see a lot of people betting Naramani, and I might be one of those people as well, just taking a shot on it. I think it's definitely worth a shot. I'm not completely sold on Grant Dawson, and I think he needs to definitely work on his striking. His wrestling's pretty good, but like I said, he hasn't fought nobody like Naramani here. Naramani did look better than Dawson in the weigh-ins. You were right there. What do you think of Dami Ramos as an underdog? On DraftKings, I'm kind of interested on it, but I do have a bet on Sarukian at -130 to win by decision there. Yeah, decision for either one. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those controversial decisions, like could go either way. So at the lines, I mean, just for that reason, I think it should be closer to a pick'em. Probably, I do think Dawson should be the favorite, but I do think it should be a little bit closer though. Always admire your presentation, information, and color. Thank you, Dave. You never know with these judges. And yeah, that's why I was very concerned about my Jimmy Rivera bet. Like I thought Jimmy Rivera won all 3 rounds, and I was waiting for a Stamen 29-28 win there. So luckily the judges got it right. And the judges did pretty decent on Wednesday, so hopefully they keep it up here. I prefer DraftKings over FanDuel. I only play a little bit of FanDuel, but I'm mostly a DraftKings guy. Gordon, Alvarez, John's $100 parlay. I mean, if you guys are into that, I'm not really into all that risk. I like to, play it safe, make a little bit of it at a time. But Alvarez, Gordon, yeah, I mean, it's worth a shot, but it's probably honestly not going to hit there. All right, so we will get into the next fight here. All right, this fight is my pick for fight of the night here. Both these guys are crazy in their own little way. Roman Dolidze versus Kadis Ibrahimov. So Dolidze is -150 and Ibrahimov is +140. So the line is coming in a little bit. Dolidze was like -180, -190 earlier in the week. He's 8,900 on DraftKings. If you guys haven't watched tape on Ibrahimov, go watch some tape on him. Go watch his last 2 fights. This guy is absolutely insane. I saw him, and I kid you not, he landed like 30 strikes in 30 seconds in one of his fights, which was very entertaining. But he got tired in that first round, and he ended up gassing out. This guy is very tough. He's never been knocked out, but I just don't think he's very good. He comes in here, he wings absolute bombs, but those bombs don't have much power on him. He lost to Ed Herman, lost pretty much all 3 rounds to Ed Herman, which is not a good sign at all. So I don't think this Ibrahimov guy is good at all, but he is facing a newcomer here in Roman Dolidze, which I was impressed with Dolidze. I was impressed with him, but that's against some lower level competition. He has a very hairy chest. Maybe that's why the line is closing in a little bit. No, actually, I'm actually confused why the line is closing in. I don't know, but Ibrahimov does not look good at all on tape. I at least like what I saw from Dolidze, and he does have a lot of power. I think Dolidze has the more power. I think not sure about his durability yet because, of course, he's never fought anybody, decent. So I don't know. I think this fight's going to end inside the distance. This is probably be my highest owned fight because you got Ibrahimov at 7,300. Obviously, he's live. I think if there's going to be a finish, it's going to be Dolidze there. +115 fight to win inside the distance there. So 8,900 is one of my plays I like a lot. He's one of the best upside plays on the slate. I think he has the second best line to win inside the distance. So I think he's a very good play. I mean, he's no Kazmat Chimaev here, but at 8,900 like on Wednesday, but he's a good play you want to target. But on the flip side, Ibrahimov 7,300, he's a madman. Both these guys are going to talk crap at each other. Yell at each other. There's going to be no fans. We're going to hear a lot of yelling, a lot of crap talking here, and it's going to be a fun fight. My pick for fight of the night, and hopefully someone gets knocked out. But Ibrahimov is very tough, so I wouldn't be surprised if this does, get extended to the second or third round. But if Dolidze can survive that first round, I think he can definitely take over late, maybe even land takedowns. Dolidze has a very good BJJ game as well. So my pick is Dolidze to win. Would not bet this fight. I see a lot of people betting Dolidze with confidence. I don't know about that. I mean, there's a lot of question marks. I think it's a decent bet, but just not for me. If the line gets closer to a pick 'em, maybe take a shot on him because I do think Ibrahimov is very bad, but probably not a fight I'd bet. If anything, probably bet the fight ends inside the distance. Maybe put it in a parlay or something. All right, so take a look at some questions here. Can you give me the best suggestion for a 3-leg parlay? My best suggestion is to not do a 3-leg parlay this week. I really struggled to find an opening this week for a parlay with more than even 1 leg. So I'd wait till next week because there are a lot of opportunities next weak. This is a horrible card for parlays. Yeah, it really is. Roman is off the juice as well. Will he perform as well? That's another thing. He's off the juice, but he does look pretty big still. I mean, he looks a little bit smaller than he did, but he is off the juice. It's something we have to take into consideration there. Dalby is fighting for the first time since 2018 and off the juice. Ibrahimov has a high upside for 7,300. I think you need this fight both ways. 100% agree. I do think there's going to be a lot of violence in this fight, and that's something we like on Draftkings. So Ibrahimov does not play defense. He does not have any defense. He swings bombs. He lands like 5 strikes per minute, but he also absorbs like 6 strikes per minute, which is probably one of the highest I've ever seen. It is a great fight for GPP here. Yeah, you want to target both sides because I think whoever wins is going to hit value. There's going to be an insane pace here, so I'm probably going to be close to 100% owned on this fight, honestly. Ibrahimov is going to throw 80 strikes in the first round, but if he doesn't get the finish, he isn't going to win. That is 100% right. He probably might even win that first round if he doesn't get knocked out. But the second and third round, he's not going to win that second and third round. If he can't win a second and third round against Ed Herman, probably won't win much against anybody. Ibrahimov is pretty durable. That is true. He's very durable. He can take shots. Just the cardio is really awful concern there. And Dalby does hit very hard. Yeah, I agree. I think someone's going to sleep as well here. All right, well, so we'll get into the next fight here. Alexander Pantoja versus Askarov. Pantoja, he is -185, and Askarov is +170. So this is my second best bet on the night. I have Alexander Pantoja at -195. Wish I would have waited a little bit longer to get the -185, but I have a bet on him. A decent-sized bet. I just like him to win this fight. I think he's the better striker. I think he hits harder. He's going to hit Askarov with the more convincing shots. If someone finishes this fight, it's going to be Pantoja. Pantoja has very, very good BJJ, an extremely good ground game. Yes, Askarov's a great wrestler, and Askarov will probably get Pantoja down, but does he really want to mess on the ground with a guy like Pantoja? And I think if he does get him down, I think Pantoja can get back up right away, get reversals and sweeps. And when this is on the feet, I think Pantoja is going to throw more. I think he's going to land the harder shots, and I just like him a lot in this fight. As for DraftKings, I can see a reason for playing Askarov at 7,400. If he does win, it's probably going to be a lot of wrestling, and that definitely scores points. But I like Pantoja at 8,800 as well, because I do think he can maybe even get takedowns himself. Askarov can be taken down. I think he can even finish Askarov here. Pantoja has a lot of power. Plus 245 to win inside the distance for Pantoja. Plus 350 to win by knockout. I just like Pantoja a lot in this fight. And this could play out a lot closer than the line indicates. And I see some love on Askarov. But I just really like Pantoja to win this fight. So I have my second bet here on Pantoja. I got him at -195. I didn't think I'd get a better line than that, but he's at -185 now, so that's a pretty good line there. If it gets any closer, that's for sure some more value on Pantoja, but I just like him to win this fight, and I like him on DraftKings as well. Askarov is very good, but Pantoja is, so underrated, and we'll definitely find out Saturday night, but I do think he's going to win a pretty convincing decision here with a possible finish. So, and the other thing is I do think, either side that wins this fight is going to score well, because there is going to be a lot of wrestling, a lot of grappling, some advances, some reversals, some sweeps, and those add up. And just wanted to touch on what was going on in the Gordon fight and Fishgold fight. Like DraftKings scored Gordon for 40, Fight Metrics scored Gordon for 40 significant strikes, and he landed 160, something like that. So hopefully that doesn't happen here, because there is probably going to be a lot of ground strikes, but on the feet, I give the advantage to Pantoja, and that's where I think most of this fight's going to play out. Someone's getting KO'd in the Dalby fight. I agree. You put both fighters in the same lineup? No, I do not, unless it's cash. And this week, I'm probably not stacking in cash there. Yes, I do. On Twitter, DFS_numbers. All right. I have a parlay with Pantoja and Sarukian, both by decision. I like that, and I was looking at the Pantoja by decision because what is it? Pantoja by decision plus 135, but I just think he might be able to finish him. So I don't know. I don't mind that though. Thank you, Todd. Askarov has no path to victory besides grinding a decision by wrestling, and that's true. And I don't know if he wants to do that because Pantoja is no joke on the ground whatsoever. So I do like Pantoja quite a bit. Plus 110 by decision is not bad. It's just he's a very dangerous fighter, and Askarov's never been finished, but you never know. So don't mind it, but I played it safe and put 3 units on Pantoja minus 195. I'm feeling Figueiredo KO, Diakasi, Spivak, Sarukian decision. What do you think? Yeah, I'm on all of those. So if you're playing it straight, I don't mind it. In a parlay, I mean, I'm pretty sure one of those might mess up, and it might be Spivak. I don't know. Only lineup worth thinking of stacking is the main event, and even with that, I don't trust it. I don't really like the main event stack, and I can see why, but there's so much value for the underdogs this week. Like you got Johns down there, you got Naramani down there, lots of value down there. Alvarez is a decent underdog option. Does Carolina have upside if her spine holds up? We will get into that fight really soon, but yeah, we'll definitely talk about that one. Any concerns with Dalby possibly fighting in his first fight off of PEDs? Yeah, I am. I think that's why this line's closing up a little bit, but I just don't think Ibrahimov's good. But definitely a fight you're going to want to target, a fight you should not bet on either side. So, yeah, I would not probably bet that. Join late. What best you have so far? I have Sarukian minus 130 to win by decision and Pantoja minus 195 straight. And I'm also looking at maybe an underdog play. And then maybe I was looking at the Dawson Naramani fight goes to decision minus 125. And if that goes to plus money, I'll definitely put some on that. Pantoja wins inside the distance. Plus 250 looks juicy. Yeah, that does look really juicy for sure. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Askarov couldn't take out Tim Elliott compared to Pantoja, who I think would finish him. Yeah, well, Tim Elliott's very, very tough. We saw that his last fight. Tim Elliott's never been finished. So that dude has some kind of chin, though. All right, so we're going to get into the people's main event here, the main event we have all been waiting for. Ariane Lipski versus Luana Carolina. And I watched a lot of tape on both of these girls, and I about puked. Like, these girls are so bad. Like, Lipski's so bad. I was watching tape on Lipski versus Molly McCann, and she made Molly McCann look like Chris Cyborg or Amanda Nunes in her striking. Like, Lipski plays no defense at all, hands down, very slow, fights like a zombie. Like, she is so awful. And I watched tape on Carolina, and she wasn't bad. She's pretty – I mean, she gets hit a ton, but she does throw volume, and you got to give her the volume advantage there, the power advantage to Lipski. But I don't know. I was thinking about picking Carolina until I heard an interview that where she said that Carolina had a spine. She broke her spine just some months ago, and she had to take 3 months off. She said she couldn't move for a month straight, and that's not what I like to hear. So the line is closing in almost to a pick 'em, and I can see why. Like, both these girls are very low level. This seems like the Jojua and Belbita fight for sure. The only thing is, Belbita got bet all the way down to like minus 200. I see some confidence in Lipski. I see a lot of people betting Carolina as well. I wouldn't bet this fight. Just not a fight I would ever bet. Two very, very low level fighters. But on Draftkings, that's where I get a little interested there. So Carolina, 7,900. She landed, I want to say, like around 120 strikes against Priscilla Ketchabeating. And it's really hard to gauge where she's at because Priscilla Ketchabeating is another girl that plays defense with her face. So we really don't know. But I looked in a lot of her fights. Her volume's up there. Her volume's good. And Lipski does not throw much. But when Lipski throws, she has a lot of power. And Lipski did say she wants to get back to her knockout ways because she used to be a finisher before she got to the UFC. But maybe she does find the knockout in Carolina, but I don't know. This is a fight I wouldn't bet, but for DraftKings, I'd play a little bit of both sides here. I think it does score well, whether it's Lipski getting a knockout. Probably, honestly, the preferred play on DraftKings is probably Carolina, The thing is, we got to worry about that spine injury. Like whenever you hear someone hasn't been training for 3-4 months, they couldn't move for a month, they broke their whole spine. Like that was pretty bad news. Like I was ready to pick Carolina, but after hearing that, it's really hard to pick her there. But I guess I'm excited to see how this fight plays out. Two very low-level fighters. I'm really looking forward to it. Surprising as that sounds, I don't know why it's on the main card. It shouldn't be, but it's gonna be fun. All right, here. Missed something here. That was August last year. I heard it was in October. So I don't know. I don't know where you heard that, but in the interview I watched, he said that it was in October. Let's say she had enough time to recover. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but taking 3-4 months off, not training, I don't know. Feel like this fight is getting overlooked on DK. Yeah, and I wish it was the first fight of the night so we can get even lower ownership on it. Like the Jojua fight, like Jojua was 8% owned and she got a first round submission. That was amazing. I was almost quadrupled the field on the ownership in that fight. So that was awesome. They're like, people don't like playing these kinds of fights. So this fight goes to decision or possible KO by Lipski. I think it does go to decision, but if it does, Carolina probably does land more. But Lipski is, I guess, alive for a knockout. Both these girls get hit. No offense, but you can't just bet on those low-level girls in MMA. Way too unpredictable. That is 100% true. It's something I personally don't do at all. Bet on the underdog Carolina. All the heavy favorite female lost on the last card. Also, Lipski lost to McCann, who we know isn't that great after Santos beating. Yeah, I don't know. I think Carolina's a better fighter, but that, like I said, that injury scares me away a little bit. So I don't mind some shots on Carolina at 7,900 on DraftKings. Spine injuries are bad. Yeah, it sounded pretty awful. I'm surprised she's even still fighting. Too much overreaction to the spine. I mean, it's a spine injury. Like, I don't think there's too much overreaction to that. It sounds pretty serious to me. She said she couldn't move for a month. I mean, that sounds serious. Maybe I'm just overreacting, but not moving for a month sounds pretty serious to me. So, we'll get into the next fights here. I'm probably going to go about an hour 5, hour 10 here. Speed this up a little bit. Mark Diakasey, Rafael Fiziev, Diakasey -150 and Fiziev +140. So on DraftKings, some shots on Fiziev is worth it for sure. I mean, he has a lot of power. Diakasey's never been knocked out, though. Honestly, I like this fight a lot for Diakasey, and I'm also looking at maybe placing a bet on him. The line is great. I like the line there. I think he can mix up his takedowns. The only thing I'm worried about is Fiziev really getting in the pocket and closing distance and maybe laying some shots on Diakasey. But I really do think Diakasey can land some takedowns and win the fight that way. Diakasey is getting back to his to looking good. The last 2 fights has been looking very good. I think in the last 2 fights he's landed 7 takedowns. So really getting back into having a good game plan, and that's what he said. He said he's done fighting stupid. He's going to come in here with a good, smart game plan. So I do like him to win this fight. So maybe looking at placing a bet on Diakasey. So stay tuned for that. But -150, I like that. As long as he does not get knocked out, that's really all I'm worried about. And Diakasey has never been knocked out. So as for DraftKings, I think Diakasey can get takedowns, land some decent volume. Fight smart, get Fiziev on the ground, don't hate it. And on the other side, Fiziev, maybe he knocks out Diakasey. Don't think it's likely, but it could happen. So Fiziev +410 by KO, Diakasey +390 by KO. So Diakasey actually has the better line to get the knockout here. But yeah, I think Diakasey can mix it up, win this fight, have it come in with a good game plan, and go on a 3-fight win streak there. So he went through a little bit of a rough patch, but he's finally getting it together. And I don't think Fiziev's that good. So -150, I'm looking at possibly taking a shot at that. All right, let's see here. Women's favorites are 12-4 in the last 16 fights. Very interesting there. LOL, get up, girl. It's just a broken spine. Fiziev spars with Jan. Yeah, they're in the same camp there, so that's another thing to look at too. But yeah, this fight, I'm not overly, going to go out of my way and target this fight. I want to target the fights that are going to finish and score high. Like even the Lipski-Carolina fight, I want to target that fight quite a bit because, for one, it's going to be low ownership, and we saw the Jojua fight. She was 8% owned. So you want to target these fights. Like Carolina's probably going to be like 15% owned. I haven't been able to get my ownership projections done yet, but I'm guessing she's going to be like 15% owned. Lipski like 20% owned. Like maybe even less than that. Like, people don't like playing these low-level fighters, and they score points. Jojua just had 91 points, so it was definitely a fight I want to target there. But Diakese, I don't hate him for the takedown upside there. Did anyone look really bad at weigh-ins? I did not really like how Joe Duffy looked, and I didn't really like how Grant Dawson looked on the scales. But other than that, everybody made weight. Everybody looked pretty good. Davison Figueiredo, Jack Hermansson, Alexander Pantoja, Arman Sarukian. What do y'all think about this parlay? I don't mind the Figueiredo, Pantoja, and Sarukian. Probably wouldn't put Jack in there, but I don't know. I would just bet them straight. I actually have action on all three of these guys in some type of way, but just don't have them in a parlay, so I don't hate it. All right, so we'll get to the next fight here. And this is the co-main event, and this fight is very close. Kelvin Gastelum versus Jack Hermansson. Jack Hermansson, -105. Pick 'em right here. So Hermansson was a slight underdog, but it's now a pick 'em. I like Hermansson here. We saw the weigh-ins. Hermansson looks a lot bigger than Gastelum, with his reach and his height, and I do think he'll be able to use that to his advantage. Also think he can come in here with a wrestling-heavy game plan. Only thing I'm worried about here is Gastelum's power, and he has a lot of power, and Hermansson has been knocked out twice. And so this fight is a pick 'em for a reason, because I can see two different scenarios here where Hermansson outstrikes him. He throws more volume than Gastelum, and Gastelum does not throw enough, and Hermansson just throws more. He uses his range, his length pretty good. His kicks are very good, and his grappling heavy game plan that hopefully he brings in here can definitely be to a good benefit here. And then Gastelum, he has that power. So I do like Hermansson here to win. Not enough to bet it, because I do think this fight can honestly go either way, but Hermansson probably should come in here, try to get him down right away. He has very good ground and pound, very good BJJ. Gastelum has been submitted once. I don't really see Hermansson beating him, but honestly, I don't know. Gastelum did not look too great in that Darren Till fight. Gastelum was a big favorite in that fight. Props to anybody who picked Darren Till, but he just did not look good to me. And I know Darren Till is a good fighter and all, but Gastelum just didn't really fight to a lot of people's expectations. So Hermansson seems like the hungrier fighter. We never know, where Gastelum's head's at. Coming off that Adesanya fight, he doesn't really seem motivated. And Hermansson said he's been in the gym getting better every single day. So I think we're going to see a very good Hermansson here, and hopefully a smart game plan. So on DraftKings, play both sides. You get the takedown upside with Hermansson, the volume upside with Hermansson, and Gastelum maybe finds a knockout. As for a bet, I see a lot of action coming in on both sides. I see a lot of strong takes for both sides here. I don't hate either side for it, because I can definitely make a case for both fighters. Gastelum by plus 350 by KO. Hermansson plus 565 by sub. Hermansson plus 175 decision. So some decent lines. Look, if you're on Gastelum, maybe a plus 350 shot there. Other than that, I was going to maybe take a shot on Hermansson when he was an underdog, but now that it's a pick, I'm probably going to stay away. But I do think this fight's going to be pretty important on DraftKings. What fight is your biggest favorite DraftKings? The fight I'm going to have the least amount of is Ramos versus Sarukian. Alvarez win by KO, possibly. Let's see here. Hermansson or Spivak, who would score more points? That's very tough, because Hermansson is going to have that takedowns, the volume, and Spivak's also going to have takedowns, and we just don't know about this Felipe guy's ground game. Only saw 2 fights on him, but from what I saw, he's a big dude. But I saw Spivak, picking up and slamming Tai Tuivasa, who's 265. So I don't know. That's a tough one. I think it's really close there. But obviously, Hermansson's a cheaper guy there. Not sure about Gastelum. He did have those health issues the last time he fought, a few years back. Hopefully this time, but I also like Hermansson here. Yeah, I like Hermansson, but it's very, very close, as the line does indicate. Gastelum gets taken down very easily. Even Till took him down. Jack by sub. I think if Hermansson comes in here with a good game plan, he can definitely get takedowns here. So, yeah, I don't mind Hermansson. I'm curious why you're liking Naramani DFS by the numbers. I went over it earlier in the video, but just to touch on it, I think there's a lot of value on the line. Dawson's never fought a wrestler anywhere near the caliber of Naramani. Naramani is a BJJ black belt, and Naramani has the striking advantage quite a bit. Dawson has like a 43% striking defense. So at that line, I think it's worth a shot, and I think the line should be closer. Maybe Dawson does win, but I do think the line should be closer, and the fight will definitely indicate that the line is a little bit off there. Taking a shot on Kelvin by KO. Don't hate it, because I do think that's his path to victory. Did Gastelum look fat at the weigh-ins? Not really. He looked like more like normal Gastelum there. But we'll get into the main event here. We're at about 55 minutes. Go about 10 more minutes here. Deiveson Figueiredo versus Joseph Benavidez, and I like Figueiredo a lot here. I needed to see those weigh-ins before I took a shot at Figueiredo, but I like him a lot. I think he's going to win this fight. I think he's going to knock out Joseph Benavidez. I think Benavidez is going to come in here fighting very, very emotional. In all of his interviews, he seems like he's very angry. He said he wants to make Figueiredo feel how he felt, and lots of sick stuff there from Benavidez. But no, I do think he's going to come in here emotional, trying to knock out Figueiredo, and Figueiredo welcomes that. He wants Benavidez to throw as much as possible so he can counter and hurt Benavidez. And as for DraftKings, I like Figueiredo quite a bit. Best inside the distance prop with -130. Benavidez is a fine play at 7,200 if he can avoid the knockout. But I just think, Benavidez did not look too great in their fight. He looked a little slower than usual. He was not able to implement his wrestling grappling like I thought he would last fight. And that's just a big one for me. So I like Figueiredo to win this fight by knockout. This is my third bet I have right here. I have Figueiredo inside the distance -135. So that's my third bet there. I have a 2.5 unit play on that. So I like him inside the distance, because if he does win, it's probably going to be on the side of the distance. I don't really see him winning a decision. So -135. I think that's a fair line there. Other than that, Benavidez and cash, a lot of people were asking about that, maybe, but I just see Figueiredo getting him out there really early, especially if Benavidez comes in here emotional, which I do think he will. So I think it'll give Figueiredo a lot of opportunities to catch him. He has 5 rounds to catch him, and Figueiredo has insane power. So I like Figueiredo quite a bit. Like I said, I have a bet on him. I was really close to making a parlay with him with someone on the next card, but I'm going to hold off on that. But yeah, I like Figueiredo quite a bit. All right. Figueiredo via anything he wants. What is Joe's path to victory? He can't outstrike or grapple Figueiredo's only chance if Fig gasses by the third. And I think Figueiredo is going to be in better shape than he has been in the past, because we have seen Figueiredo get tired, but with not much wrestling probably going to go on in this fight, I don't think he's going to be that gassed out when it comes to the third or fourth round if it gets there. And he was 10 pounds lighter, as coach has said, last fight compared to now. So I think he's going to be in a little bit better shape, and hopefully he was working on that gas tank, because he looked pretty good in that last fight there. Benavidez just got knocked out recently. Just can't see this playing out differently. I really can't either. As much as I want to see Benavidez win, I just don't think there's a very likely chance he does. And I see a lot of people taking a shot on Benavidez. It's tempting, +195 for Benavidez, but I just really struggle to see how he gets it done there. In the last 14 flyweight title fights, favorites are 11-3, including Figueiredo. Figueiredo missing weight. That is very interesting. Cody bringing in some nice stats here every time. Yeah, that's awesome. 11-3. That is very interesting there. I need a third parlay piece to go with Fig and Dawson. I wouldn't really parlay Dawson. I think that fight's really close, but if you want to parlay him, maybe, I don't know, Pantoja, a Sarukian. All right, DraftKings score plays. I'll get to that after this last question here. And then can he win with a sub? He said in an interview he wants to take down Joey with a sub. Any chance of that for Deiveson? I don't think that's likely, but, maybe. Take a look at his sub lines. Figueiredo by sub +650. Maybe he can hurt Benavidez and sub him. That is for sure possible. So I just bet the inside the distance line. I didn't want to bet the +100 KO, because I do think maybe he does sub him. So I just wanted to be a little bit safer there. So I'm going to go over my most confident plays and my favorite underdogs. So like I said at the beginning, I don't have many confident plays on this card, but Figueiredo, pretty confident in that. Diakese, a little confident in that play. Pantoja, I'm a little confident in that. Joe Duffy, I kind of think he wins, but, a lot of question marks. Sarukian, I'm confident he gets it done. And then Spivak, slightly confident. There's just a lot of question marks with Felipe. So those are pretty much my 4 or 5 most confident picks. And then my favorite underdogs to target on DraftKings here. Felipe, 7,800, has a lot of upside there. Hamos, 7,500, decent upside. Just don't really see him knocking out Sarukian or submitting him, but it could happen. But so Felipe, Malcolm Gordon, I think is a good underdog option there. Brett Johns at 7,100, lots of value there. Alvarez, if you want to take a shot at Alvarez by 6,900, it's not an awful option. Naramani, maybe he can squeak out a decision there. Just don't know how well that's going to score. I think it's going to be a lot of, up against the cage, a lot of Dawson trying to get takedowns here. Ibrahimov is not an awful play as an underdog at 7,300. Askarov, if he does win, it's probably going to be with a lot of wrestling that would score high. Carolina, decent option at 7,900. She throws a ton of volume, and Lipski plays defense with her face. So good combo there. Fiziev for a knockout upside, just don't see that happening. DKC's never been finished. Hermansson's fine at 8,000. And then Benavidez is okay at 7,200. I think if he does survive those first couple rounds, maybe he can make this a very close decision. But I don't know. I like Figueiredo quite a bit. All right, so for the next, we'll go 4 minutes. I'm going to answer any last questions here for about 4 minutes here. You're not touching Dawson Naramani to go the distance at -150, are you? It's -125 on my book, and I might place a bet on that because I do think there's a decent shot it does go to the distance because I don't see Dawson submitting him. Naramani is a black belt, and I don't really see Naramani knocking out Dawson. Maybe he does, but I think this is probably going to go to decision, very close decision. Just like the stream twice, my phone and my PS4. Smash the like, guys. This man puts in work, and his results are fire. Thank you so much. That means a lot. Yeah, guys, like this video. It really, really helps me out. Subscribe if you're in here. If you like my content, really appreciate that. I do put, tons of work, probably more work than I should into this, but I want to be sure that I give the most accurate picks as possible. Figueiredo post-fight speech. Megan, that's pretty funny there. Thank you for your stream and sharing your thoughts. Thank you for being in here and watching. Main event stackable. I do think I might want to go elsewhere. I might want to play Johns instead of Benavidez because I do think Benavidez is going to get knocked out, but I don't hate it. Gordon, Johns, Brett, or Naramani, what underdogs do you believe in the most? I think Gordon has the best chance to win. Other than that, probably Johns, Naramani. I'd probably rank them in that order right there. So every fighter, okay, got it. Yeah, you're right. Every single fighter, no. But on DraftKings, you do want to have a lot of exposure to different fighters. This is more of a DraftKings, I'll let you guys know what I'm betting on. Obviously, I'm not going to bet every single fighter. That'd be dumb. But this is more for DraftKings. If you guys don't know what DraftKings is, you make a lineup. If you make multiple lineups, you do want to have exposure to every fighter. So you're right. Yeah, okay, got it. So you're right about that. So will you be underweight on Dawson? I'll probably be underweight on Jackson. I'll be probably about around the field where Dawson is at because I do think he has some takedown upside there. I enjoyed it. Your picks were spot on last week. Thank you, Gaming Wolf. Yeah, but had 3 really great weeks in a row, especially, with the betting as well. So hopefully we keep that going there. I'm curious, what GBPs do you recommend? Do you go for the big ones with the higher entries, like the $1 million ones? I play the $1 150 max, and then I max it out 2 different times. And then I play 2 of the 20 maxes, the $3 or $4. And then maybe sometimes I put some lineups in the Millie Maker there, but I like to max out those smaller contests there. Thank you, Colin. Risky parlay, Figueiredo KO decision. I don't hate it. Probably good odds there as well. Gastelum, Hermansson, a must play in single lineups. I probably wouldn't because I would have such a tough time trying to find the right fighter in that fight, but I do think it scores well. Fight does not end in decisions. Figueiredo, Benavidez, Dalby, Ibrahimov, and probably that Gordon fight. DraftKings seems complicated. Yeah, it's complicated to a lot of people at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple. Just pick 6 fighters. And I know a lot of people always comment on my videos, why are you picking every single fighter to win? Because you really got to in DraftKings. So Hope we can win some cash here. Thank you for streaming. Appreciate it. Thank you. See you, Lee. Good luck gaming. Thank you, Event Horizon. But yeah, guys, I'm going to get off. I'm going to go build some DraftKings lineups, finish up a little bit more research, get some final bets in. You guys can always follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Come talk some fights with me on fight day. Going to be posting the rest of my bets tomorrow. Let me know what kind of bets you guys have on Twitter. Very interested to hear what you guys have. And make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet. On my way to 5,000 subscribers. Thank you, everybody, for your support. And good luck, everybody.